Shabbat Shalom, my friends. This evening, as you all know, is the evening we commemorate the first yahrzeit of Rabbi Isaiah Zeldin. Zichrono livracha. He was the founding rabbi of our temple and an extraordinary man. Every single one of us was touched by him. I recently had the opportunity to share some memories at a convention, and I thought I would share just a few of those thoughts with you. You may not know that he was an avid athlete, which actually had life-altering consequences. When he landed the job at Camp Achva, he met a beautiful head counselor named Florence, and they married in 1943 and were blessed with two beautiful children, Joel and Michael. Dr. Zeldin is here this evening as well. He had many professional achievements, but his greatest one was launched in the living room of the Zeldin home. And together with his wife and founding families, this temple was created. It was 1964. A nursery school was created, the first synagogue-based parenting center, and later our day school, which became the largest Reformed day school in North America. And then, at a very youthful age of 70, he took over the Golda Meir High School and ultimately founded Milken Community High School, which became the largest full-day Jewish high school in the United States. At some point, 2,000 children were receiving their full-time secular and Jewish education. And while Rabbi Zeldin was the dreamer, he did not do this alone. Alongside him for over 40 years were most notably Rabbi Eli Hersher, Cantor Nathan Lamb, and Mrs. Matuka Benjamin, three extraordinary partners. He had many rabbinic and professional achievements, but I want to take just a couple of moments to share a bit about his demeanor and his character. First, just a thought about his temperament. One evening, my wife Beverly and I, we had just moved here from New York. We were seated at a large table in the backyard of a congregant's house, and Rabbi Zeldin was surrounded by congregants. The evening had grown late, but he was seemingly in no rush to go, which I later learned was the way he often did things. And Beverly and I sat with him among everybody else, and as we walked to the car, my wife made a very thoughtful point. She said, "You know what? He is a genuinely pleasant man, and it's true. I only remember him being in a good mood." A thought about his feelings for Israel. One simply cannot speak about Rabbi Zeldin without talking about Israel. He was an outspoken supporter of the Jewish state. I don't remember an extended conversation with him in person or on the phone where Israel wasn't discussed. He was clear from this pulpit and clear in conversations about his affection for Israel. A thought about his sermons. Those of you who heard him would likely remember several things about his sermon, in addition to the fact that they were timely and thoughtful and humorous. But you'd also add, excuse me, he never used notes. Rabbi Zeldin never, and it's true, I never saw him use notes, even on the high holidays. And then, you all might remember, he created mnemonic devices to help you remember his sermons. For example, if his topic was, say, marriage tonight, he would begin by saying, "Tonight I want to speak with you about marriage." And there are 4 parts to the sermon, and they spell the word tale, T-A-L-E. He would say, now T is for time. Remember to make sure you have time for your spouse. A is for making sure to arrange surprises for him or her. L would be laugh. Make sure you laugh together. And E would be for enjoy. Make sure you enjoy fine wine. T-A-L-E. Time, arrange surprises, laugh, and enjoy wine. And you know what? Darn it, it works. It really, really works. And then just a thought about working with Rabbi Zeldin. He encouraged anybody who worked with him to follow their passions. If you were a rabbi, indeed anyone at this temple who had an idea for a program and it was sensible, he would encourage you to go for it. And as a result, this temple became a laboratory. Anybody who was driven by their passions would find a road here, and he celebrated your success. There was never a hint of insecurity. And finally, the way he worked with leadership. Presidents who have served with Rabbi Zeldin have told me that as much as they respected him at the beginning of their presidency, they had even greater respect for him at the end of their presidency, and often even greater affection. And that speaks volumes. He was the real deal. A few years ago, I asked him, if someone had told you in 1964 that from these original families that it would have become this beautiful and extraordinary active temple in schools, would you have believed them? I'm sure hundreds of people asked him that question. And he turned to me with an endearing smile that was seemingly always on his face. And he said to me, David, every time I drive up the hill to the entrance of this temple, I pinch myself. And you know what? I really believe him. So here's the thought. When we drive up this hill leading up to Stephen Wise Temple, look around and remind yourself of what he created. Not only the physical temple and the schools, but far more important, the lives that were touched. Our lives, our children, our grandchildren, maybe some great-grandchildren. And for that, my colleagues, our congregants, and we as a Jewish people remain eternally grateful. And every once in a while, I too pinch myself for the privilege that I have of working in such an extraordinary place. And for that, he has my everlasting gratitude. May his memory be a blessing, and may God cradle the soul of Isaiah Zeldin in a loving embrace forever.